After the first wave was destroyed, the Abrams tanks are being resent to Ukraine. Isn't it time to retire them? On July 19th, the Australian Department of Defense announced that the majority of the M1A1 Abrams main battle tanks promised to Ukraine have now been successfully delivered to the conflict zone. This delivery is part of a broader international effort to strengthen Kyiv's military position in its ongoing conflict with Russia, which has lasted for over 2 years. These tanks, symbols of modern Western military power, are expected to provide a significant boost in mobility and firepower for Ukrainian forces. According to the official statement, the final units of the shipment are scheduled to arrive in the coming months, following the initial wave, which has now begun operations on the front lines. As part of its commitment, Australia is supplying a total of 49 M1A1 Abrams tanks, with a total value of approximately $245 million. This aid is part of Australia's broader military support package, which has so far reached $1.5 billion since the conflict broke out in early 2022. The M1A1 Abrams tanks sent to Ukraine have undergone special modifications to suit the unique conditions of warfare in Eastern Europe, including muddy terrain, narrow village roads, and the need for high-speed maneuverability in modern combat. Equipped with advanced armor protection, digital fire control systems, and a powerful gas turbine engine, these vehicles are a symbol of U.S. military technological supremacy, now being extended by allies like Australia. But considering that Russia wiped out the first wave of American Abrams, how will the next batch survive in Ukraine? There's one way. Keep your eyes on the story. The delivery of Abrams tanks from Australia was indeed delayed due to objections from the United States. This situation brings to mind the controversial decision by the Trump administration, which had once suspended military aid. In this case, Washington explicitly warned Canberra to refrain from sending the tanks to Ukraine, especially as, earlier this year, calls were growing within the U.S. to suspend defense assistance to Ukraine. The issue of tank delivery became even more complicated due to serious doubts about the Abrams' effectiveness on the battlefield, particularly after the emergence of drone technology in Russia's hands. Tanks like the Abrams, despite their heavy frontal and side armor, have proven to be vulnerable at the top. The roof of a tank is generally thinner than other areas, making it susceptible to attacks from above. Modern drones used by Russia, such as kamikaze drones or reconnaissance drones capable of marking target positions, are now often deployed to strike from above. These attacks tend to penetrate the more lightly protected roof area more easily, causing fatal damage or even destroying the tank in a single strike. This risk has led many to question the feasibility and effectiveness of deploying Abrams tanks to the battlefield in Ukraine, as the sophistication of Russian weaponry has repeatedly demonstrated its ability to disable tanks by targeting their aerial weak points. Let's take a closer look at these memories, these recordings that have now become undeniable evidence on the battlefield. What really happened to the Abrams tanks in Ukraine? Stuck, blown up, destroyed, captured. That's the fate that has befallen several Abrams units on the front lines. For instance, one viral recording provides indisputable proof of the Abrams' ineffectiveness under modern combat conditions. In the footage, the combat vehicle is camouflaged in a forested belt, yet it was still detected by the Russian Zala Z-16 UAV. Once the exact coordinates were transmitted, the Lancet reconnaissance strike system immediately followed up. The result was a direct hit. The Abrams was destroyed with precision. That US-made M1 Abrams tank, which at the time was operating alongside the armed forces of Ukraine, is now reduced to wreckage. It met its end near the village of Krasnopolye in the Sumy region. So, is the Abrams truly unsuited for the battlefield conditions in Ukraine? Or is there still a way for this tank to survive and play a more effective role in this conflict? Now, let's discuss how the Abrams might still be able to hold its ground in Ukraine. The whole world has witnessed how drones have changed the face of battle in Ukraine. On a battlefield increasingly dominated by technology, both Russia and Ukraine have demonstrated extraordinary capabilities in operating drones, while also developing strategies to counter the aerial threat. Many are even asking, has the era of the tank come to an end? That question seems to be validated on the ground. We have seen how M1A1 Abrams tanks, the icon of American armored power, have been destroyed in worrying numbers. However, according to analysis from the National Security Journal, this destruction is not only due to flaws in the design or capabilities of the Abrams, but also due to errors in tactics and deployment. The Abrams tank demands close cooperation between infantry, mechanized forces, artillery, and air support. Abrams tanks are designed to operate within this ecosystem, not to stand alone on the battlefield. Unfortunately, when Ukraine deployed Abrams tanks to the front lines, they were often not supported by infantry or other combat units. Due to personnel and equipment limitations, these tanks were frequently sent alone into conflict zones, making them easy targets for Russian anti-tank missiles and drones. Under such conditions, even a powerful tank like the Abrams can become just scrap metal on the battlefield. Now, with the arrival of M1A1s from Australia, there is new hope. But the question remains the same. Has Ukraine learned from past mistakes? If they can integrate these tanks into combined combat operations and protect them with cage armor and additional layers of defense against drone attacks from above, could the Abrams turn the tide? Or will history repeat itself, and the world will witness the Abrams Graveyard, Chapter 2? What do you think? That's all for today's episode, and thanks for watching.